Unleash your creativity with the Micro Welder, episode 23. Today, I'm going to show you how to weld this aquamarine and freshwater pearl bracelet that can also be worn as an anklet. For this project, you basically want a link chain that is small enough, the links are small enough so that your wire can go through, but whatever beads you choose will not fall through the link. And so Rollo would work, any sort of cables, and I'm going to use this one, long and short, because it's easy to calculate. I can see however many, and it's just something a little bit different. So I am going to put the beads on either side of this small link, and you can certainly use this link as well, but I think I want it without moving. I'm going to put it through this link, the small one. Let's see how it goes. It's advisable to first measure out the chain so that it's long enough for your wrist, but also leave a little extra, just in case if you decide you made an error or you want it longer with an extender. Then once you've cut it, I always start with the middle link right here. In that way, I start in the middle because I've been in situations where I start from one side, lose count, and where I want it centered, the center piece, was not all that centered. So what you can do is start from one side, work this way, or you can do either one, but you know the center and your focal point is the first thing you do. I've decided to use something very fresh looking, aquamarine and freshwater pearls, and I've brought some into my little sauce dish, and we are going to use 24 gauge wire, and it's a bit tight here going through the tiny link, but it works perfectly, so we're going to go with that. Okay, so I've got here the wire, and I'm going to first work with aquamarine. Now, might take a little bit of testing. I've got this set around 7 watts, and it's newly sharpened electrode. So maybe it will be too powerful. I don't know yet. So I'm going to hold it and weld on the side to see if, okay, so it's not balling too much, so I'm going to put it to the front, to the point. Okay. Okay, so it's slightly better at the tip. Now, the bead happens to be fairly large, so now this stopped it, but I'm going to show you. There, it stopped it. That's great. If it didn't, I will continue to build the mass on this ball. And then I am going to do the other side. Actually, I am going to the center something heavier at the bottom, like such. I don't want it too tight because you don't want the chain to jam. So make sure that it's where you want it, even though there's a bit of a gap. That works out. Now, I'm going to show you you can see that there is quite a bit of a hole here. Although this is perfect, any thicker that could go through the pearl snugly will probably not go through this. So what we're going to do is add a ball on this side that is slightly bigger. And I can do this in a few ways. I'm going to show you. I'm going to trim it like this. So there's a bit. And I should see if I can possibly put 2 of these wires into the hole. It's a bit tight, but it might just work. Let me see if I can do it. Oops. Okay, so I couldn't do that. I forced it too much. But let me try again and see if sometimes what happens is the hole is drilled not perfectly round. And if I can shift it to one side, okay, it's going to be too difficult. So what I've got here is 26 gauge, and that works. So I've jammed this in. I'm going to cut it flush. I'll show you a close-up. You see? I've put in a bit more, like this. And what that does is it adds a bit more silver. I'm going to hold it still, and I'm going to increase the power a little bit. Make sure I still have the silver wire. Now it's fallen in. So I think I need something a little bit longer. I'm going to try that again. Like this, and I have just enough room holding on to silver ball to the ground. Okay, so I'm going to show you what happened. Let me just clean this. I'm not using argon gas for this filming. You see? Got thicker, but doesn't need to be even thicker. I just need to another rolling it back just a little bit. Okay. Put it higher, and also just be careful of the soot buildup. This is non-piling fabric. Okay, so what happens there is it melts back in. Done it a few times, so there's quite a bit of soot buildup. Don't worry about it because you can clean it off. So now what you have is this. And that will be naturally going to the bottom. So I'm going to build all around it now. So I've decided to vary the pattern a bit. I'm going to put top and bottom some blue ones and perhaps have a pearl every third just to have a different pattern. And you can choose anything you want, whatever spacing. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to skip a bit of spacing so that it'll be prettier, I think. Okay, good. That worked. Shift it. And before you close it, try to position it so the links are smooth, nothing is bent or twisted. And I'm going to leave a little extra silver just in case I need to make the ball a little bit bigger. And that worked. And don't worry that it looks a little bit dirty. You're going to wash it with soap and water later. And my hands are full of sunblock and grease. So I'm going to do the same thing and continue this pattern. Actually, I'm going to show you what it looks like so far. And so I think I'm going to do another set of blue and then repeat this. It would have been okay just twice, but I decided to make it a little bit bigger and I'll be fine. And again, to make sure that the links aren't folded. Good. Okay. So we're on our way. And they roll, which is very pretty. So that I don't lose count, and this is my center, I'm going to do the other side now. So there we go. It's working out very well. And just to give you an update, I'm at 8 watts. And when I see a buildup, all I'm doing is I'm just cleaning it off. I haven't sharpened it yet. And maybe when I do sharpen it, it might change how powerful it is, and I might have to adjust. But I'm going to continue, and I'll show you the end result. Okay, now I'm going to do the white one, and I'm going to make sure I've got it the right order. Work in progress. And I'm getting faster and faster by adding separate thinner wire to the side, and it's so easy. And sometimes if the ball is not perfect the way you want, because it's not rounded, you can lower the temperature, lower the power, and just smoothen it there. And the other thing is, you can take another piece of paper, I don't have one handy, and put it down while you brush this way. And what happens is the brush gets, the soot gets moved onto the piece of paper and makes it a lot cleaner, faster. Okay. I always open up the links, make sure that it's not crookedy and that it will lay nicely. There's enough room before I cut. This hole looks a lot bigger. I'll show you this. Look at this. Someone, while drilling the pearl, made a much bigger hole on this side. And it happens when they drill and re-drill. And that causes a problem if you're trying to make a ball. So in cases like that, by adding, see, I was able to add 2 24 gauge. So this is a very good technique to use. And I have to do a few times to melt them sufficiently. Good. Okay. Another progress report. So I'm just trying to push as much in as I can. You don't have to make it go all the way through. It's not needed. You just need it to stop. Sometimes the end of the pearl, the hole is not consistent all the way through, and the end is a little bit bigger. So as long as it stops, you're good. Go. I might have made it a bit too long. Maybe not. And I noticed that now with this buildup of gunk on the electrode, it's not as powerful in melting as it was before. So I'm gonna clean that up in a moment. It's still working. It's just, you have to do it a few more times. Make sure that, oh no. Look at this. I got it wrong. I wasn't paying attention. So I'm going to cut this off and redo it. But I think I'm going to clean the electrode now. It doesn't take very long. I'm going to do this. Move the electrode. Put this into the hole here. See how gunky it is? The buildup. All I do is just turn. Perfect. I like to measure against this onto this notch. Okay. That's all it took. So I cut that off because I got it in the wrong order, and I want to show you what has happened, effectively what I've done. I'm going to push this out. You see, there is that little piece which is 26 gauge, I mean, because the hole was big on the other end. And when I put it in, I jam it. It doesn't go all the way through because the hole is smaller on one end. So that is a very useful tool of adding more on the side and then balling it. Okay, I made a mistake. So this time I'm gonna do this. Make sure that your chain is draped straight down. I think I got my chain twisted, and so I got the order wrong. Okay, in this case, actually, I am doing both. Okay, this bead has a big hole. So, but I've already started might not be possible to save it. I have to do it again. Let's see. I'll give you a close-up look. I made the ball here, except the hole is a lot bigger than I anticipated, and I didn't leave enough wire to ball it together. So I'm jamming another piece in here. We're going to see if this is going to work. And it did. This is awesome. Okay, I'm going to show you. I didn't think it was going to work, and I would have had to cut the wire. It's only a few extra seconds, but who knows? And it totally worked. So even though it's halfway through balling, it's got a ball already, you shove some more wire in, and you can actually make the ball bigger. There we go. Let me show you this. This happens to me quite a bit. The chain gets twisted as I'm trying to work, and the thing is, you don't want to weld this shut and make it hard when it is so much easier just to have a little bit more space, straighten it out before welding. There we go. Okay, final station. See? Worked. My chain is straightened. Perfect. My hands are filthy. Okay, then we're gonna figure out, make sure there are no more changes. And I like the look, and I do. They look like tiny baby's breath, those little flowers. So what I'm going to do now is clip away any extra chain, or maybe I'll leave it as an extension, and then I'll weld the clasp. So I've changed my mind. I decided that I'm going to turn this into something a little bit more versatile by adding 2 clasps, one on either end. And it is long enough, just long enough for an anklet. And watch this. Because the links are big enough, I can shorten it by clasping this onto one another for a short bracelet like this. And I can clasp it onto whichever link I want, so I can make it however long I want. So say, for instance, here, it's not noticeable. For example, for a bigger bracelet, or all the way there, or for a tighter bracelet, or someone who smaller, or I do this. I clasp it onto one another for an anklet. I might have to change this up a little bit. There we go. And that would be an anklet. I'm going to model this for you, but first I'm going to clean this up. We'll see how it goes. So this is what the bracelet looks like when worn at the shortest length. And this is me wearing it as an anklet. I adjust it above my sneaker top and wear it lower when I'm wearing sandals. I hope you enjoyed that. And if you did, please like and subscribe. It really does help my algorithm. And let me know in the comments what city you live in and where you're tuning in from.